views and opinions expressed by the hosts and guests on the following program may not reflect those of this station or Salem Media Group, its management, sponsors, affiliates, or employees. Portions of the following...
We got 2 Mondays to Christmas.
How's your shopping list?
Bro,
Dude, yeah. Tell me
put
about
my
it.
head down and got it done last night.
No way.
Now, I'm not going to look at my credit card statement today, but
Wow.
got it all done.
Nice job. I got some stuff that's still hanging out there that I got to worry about.
I'm the
so.
king of personalized gifts,
Yeah.
too. I love putting people's faces on things.
Uh-oh.
And then giving them gifts. And I go
That's
through
good.
their Facebook, like my brother's Facebook accounts, and find the funniest little pictures I can of them and then put them on a pillow or whatever. So, yeah, that's a lot of it. So, welcome back, Jeff and Bill Show. We got a lot to cover today. Billy, we doing okay on this stuff? We sound live. All right, I think we're back. Are we back live?
We'll see what happens.
Jeff
I'm going to check here in a
and
second. Let's go ahead and
Bill
hit that, and then we'll find out. I have no idea.
Hey,
I've got to
do
go
we
in the
like-
other room.
All right, should we go to Blake?
Yes, please.
All right, now it's time for the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good morning. You're listening to Jeff and Bill. It's Monday and 35 and clear in Denver, expecting a high of 61 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, we'll get to the Broncos in a minute. Famed director Rob Reiner is dead at the age of 78. Reiner and his wife Michelle were found dead inside their home in LA's Brentwood neighborhood Sunday night. The apparent victims of a stabbing, authorities have yet to confirm multiple reports that detectives are questioning one of their sons in connection with the deaths.
Dude, this is nuts.
Yes, it
What?
is.
Like TMZ headline just 30 minutes ago. Throat
Yeah.
slit?
Yeah,
Throat
it's
slit?
horrible. Horrible. I
And-
mean, there
and I
are a
know
lot of
one of their-
stories about this. One of the sons.
Yeah,
so.
he had some significant drug problems.
Yep. Man, anytime I hear Hollywood and Brentwood,
Yeah.
there's it's just
we all go
like,
back to the white Ford Bronco.
Yep, you got it. Absolutely. And then some other weird stuff that goes on there. Yeah, that's a horrible story. One person is dead following an 8-hour standoff with police in Greeley last night. A woman reported a man was in her home, assaulted her, and had a shotgun. She escaped. Police discovered hours later that he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu blaming the Australian government for encouraging anti-Semitism after Sunday's shooting at a Jewish celebration at a popular Sydney beach that left at least 15 dead and dozens wounded. Just horrific. Netanyahu said the Australian Prime Minister Albanese's his policies, including the recognition of a Palestinian state in September, encouraged Jew hatred. So it's just there's so much video of this. There was
It's
a hero that
wild.
fought that. You saw him take
Yeah.
that rifle.
Yep.
Another reason for the Second Amendment and why you fight for it. It was just horrible. I know you guys are probably going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about Paris not hosting New
Yeah.
Year's events
Tragic.
in light of some of the security concerns. That's what they always label this as. There's no Christmas markets taking place. Well, there's few. Some being shut down in light of security concerns. But a lot of it has to do with radical Islam and the
Sure.
impact it's having on Western Europe and now Australia.
That's right.
We'll get
You
into it.
cannot give up your culture. You cannot.
Right. That's exactly right.
And that's what's happening right now. And, you open arms to everyone who does it legally and comes into your country,
Right.
but you cannot allow this to happen. And we can't as Americans, because you see what's happening around the world. Man, that is a beautiful place. Also in Australia, I've been there, that beach, and it's horrible what happened.
Well, I mean, goodness. It was not even 6 months ago that Jews were lit on fire in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true.
And then
Absolutely.
you have shootings outside of synagogues, outside of Israeli embassy parties. I mean, if you're Jewish right now in Western, well, we all know that if you're Jewish, you can't go to places that are Islamic dominated, right? They'll kill you right there, and then celebrate and have a parade. But now we're at a point where if you're Jewish in Western countries, you have to be concerned about where you are out in public. And that right there should send a very clear message to what's happening in our country and in Europe and in
the
Australia.
West.
In the
Yep.
West.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, what am I saying? It's happening in Africa also.
Correct.
To Christians.
Yeah. Right.
Police in Providence, Rhode Island, releasing from custody the person of interest in connection with Saturday's mass shooting at Brown University. They killed 2 people and injured 9. This one, wow. Mayor Brett Smiley of Providence, in a late-night news conference, said that the man was being released with an investigation into the shooting ongoing. So we don't have a suspect there either. It's just a horrible, dark weekend.
It was.
Man.
With the exception
Right
of
before the holidays.
Phillip Rivers.
True.
That was the only.
And Fernando
and the
Mendoza.
Yeah. Right.
There you go. Well, we'll shine the light now. Here we go. All right, Broncos played host to the. I don't know what just happened right there. It's 6 in the morning.
2 Mondays left to Christmas.
There you go. Packers at the Broncos. Denver going for 11 straight wins. End of the third. Broncos down 23-21.
On a 2nd and 15. Nix to the end zone. Franklin has it. Touchdown, Broncos.
Wow, what a throw. What a throw in the back of the end zone. About halfway there. Just beautiful. Bo Nix to Troy Franklin. Great catch. Gets up there and makes the grab. 34-26 final. Nix threw for 302 yards, 4 touchdown passes. Cortland Sutton, 7 catches, 113 yards, and a touchdown. Broncos now 12-2. And Bo Nix with the great answer. This is awesome after the game.
Well, thanks a lot. And Bo, congratulations. What a game. You guys came in winners of 10 straight, now 11, but you were the underdogs. What did this team show against a really difficult Packers team?
That we're the overdogs.
What was the biggest difference today? What really changed the momentum down the stretch?
I think every unit played great. We had key plays in all units. Defense just kept playing at the end, and they got stop after stop after stop. They got 2 really big turnovers, and then offensively, we got touchdowns today instead of field goals. Now, we want to close out the game better. We got 2 opportunities to push it and get more points, but I guess we just like one-score games.
Well, you clinched a playoff berth, though. I know you have your sights set on something bigger, but still, how does that feel walking off this field?
It's great. That was our first goal going into the night. You know, you got to baby steps, one step at a time. One step leads to another, and without this one, you know, you can't get to where you want to go. So every step is as important as the next, but we're focused on this week already. Got another home game, and I expect it to be rocking again.
10-4 Jags at the Broncos this Sunday. Incredible season. Kansas City quarterback Patrick Mahomes tears his ACL out for the rest of the season, and the rehabilitation on that is going to be difficult. And we won't see the Chiefs in the playoffs this year for the first time since 2014. Hate to see anyone
injure
themselves.
He's going to need a real trainer,
rough.
not Megan Trainer.
Yeah.
You seen those State Farm ads?
Yes, I have.
Just trying to hand
That's
them a knee brace.
Great point. Yeah, when it becomes reality.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's hard to watch. And the video was hard to watch too. I do not like watching that.
Hey, Gabe wonders if you're going to get to the Raiders highlights.
Oh, you know what? We'll get to that, Gabe. Absolutely. I'll send you a text.
Did they end up with a goose egg?
What was the score here? Let me
They got
see.
shut out second time this season.
Was it a
Not
shutout?
first, but the second time they got shut out this season.
Oh man,
yeah,
those
that's not
poor
good.
guys, poor Raider fans.
It was not good. The Eagles just whooped up on them. It was not pretty. I saw some of that. That was
So
that
they
was
didn't
ugly.
score.
No, they didn't even. There wasn't even. I feel again. It's great as a Broncos fan to see the Raiders struggling, but I feel for them because of how abjectly awful they are this season. It's just
bad.
ridiculous. They are ridiculously bad, and I don't want them to be that bad.
Yeah,
I'm sure
it's
I
not
want them
fun.
to lose. It's not fun for them to be just awful. That's no fun at all. So, I need them to play spoiler with some other teams and stuff like that, and we like them to show off when the AFC West needs some reputation, playing other places. But no, not good. Yeah, the thing for me is it's 2 goose eggs in the season. That's really
that's
bad.
pretty
I don't know
bad.
how you keep Pete Carroll, honestly. How do you possibly
right.
keep him?
I know.
Yeah,
That's
how do you possibly keep him?
I think you have an owner that's dating 20-year-olds and Pete Carroll who.
Let's hope he's not dating 20-year-olds. You never know with football coaches these days. 44-year-old grandfather Philip Rivers, 18 of 27, 120 yards with a TD and an interception in his first game in 5 years. But the Seahawks kick those doggone field goals. They kick a 56-yarder for 18-16 win. That's a tough place to win in Seattle.
Let's talk a second about Philip Rivers. So I want go if you're out there on the social media webs, follow a young man on X named Noah Moss 2026. Noah Moss 2026. He is originally from Colorado, played for Creek. Then his mom is this great pro-life leader named Christine Jurgen. You may know her. And he has the video. He was the one that filmed and posted the video of all the boys.
Oh, yeah,
he's gone. He moved to Alabama, and he now he was at St. Michael Catholic High School.
Right.
Has now moved on and is going to be committed to playing at NC State.
Oh, wow.
But he's the one with the video of all of his teammates at the watch party. So if you want to see the St. Michael football team watch party erupt when Coach Rivers throws his first touchdown back.
That was so cool.
This thing has been picked up 2.1 million views of it.
Is that
Awesome.
right?
It's very cool. Yeah,
That
everybody's
was
retweeting
awesome.
it. Everybody is. But
That
good young
was
man.
awesome.
Mom's great pro-life leader. Go check out Noah Moss 2026 on X.
On another angle, I don't think that Dion was tweeting out Shadur's highlights this weekend.
Oh yeah, that's
wasn't
right.
good.
I forgot that one.
That was a tough
Took backstage.
That was really
he didn't
bad.
have a good game.
No, he had an awful game. Again, the Browns are horrible too.
Yeah,
so the other
they're
thing is
horrible.
there's
And the
kind
Bears
of
are
an
good.
expectation. Yeah, the Bears are very good. In fact, the Bears overtook the Packers after their win and Packers lost yesterday, which makes next week's Bears-Packers matchup really, really fun. I mean, that's going to be an old school NFC matchup.
Right.
That's going to be cool. But yeah, Shadur had a really, really rough game. In fact, 3 interceptions, I believe, was in the box score, and that's tough. The one that worries me the most wasn't that I just glanced at the box score. I didn't see many highlights because, well, there weren't any. But yeah, that was the problem. The thing that worries me in the box score is it looks like he took 5 sacks. That's not good. That
isn't good.
Not good at this level. And
Absolutely.
I always go back to something that I think it's Sean Payton said. He said the one thing is that you can teach quarterbacks to do a lot of things when they come out of college into the NFL. He said, but a quarterback that takes a lot of sacks in college will take a lot of sacks in the NFL, and that's not okay. That is not a skill set. You have to break that. And he said that's the one thing he looks for. Peyton said is he doesn't look at quarterbacks that get sacked a lot, because if they're sacked a lot, it's hard to break that habit. They don't understand what to do. And that worries me. 5 sacks on Shadur and 3 interceptions, that's an awful, awful, awful stat line.
Get rid of it. Gotta get rid of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to see what happens there. Because
I
I'm not
agree.
sure Dylan Gabriel's that much better. So they may be back at square one again after drafting 2 quarterbacks. This is silly.
That's definitely a push there between those two.
Oh, absolutely it is. Yeah, both of them. Neither one of them says I'm the starter. So what do you do? Yeah, that's a hard one.
The coaching staff and the fans and everyone involved in Cleveland, they can't wait to end the season. It can't come soon enough.
For me, me, it's like a symbiotic relationship, or like the idea of twins with the Browns and the Raiders right now. Both are just so bad, and you're like, sooner or later something's got to hit. You got to get it right sooner or later, just based on luck. But I don't know. Yeah,
exactly, absolutely.
Yeah, it's tough.
Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza wins the Heisman over the weekend. The right guy won. Diego Pavia. He told the voters who didn't vote for him to F off. That wasn't a good idea.
No, not at all.
He has apologized since then. He showed up looking like a gangster with his brothers. I mean, it's just so bad, man. You talk about the PR nightmare. Yeah. Diego Pavia, and Mendoza wins it while he, continues to win the people over with a heart-wrenching speech. Just incredible. So,
yeah,
congratulations.
That was a good win.
Absolutely.
That was the right guy won it. You're right.
Yep. And you need to, it's funny how that sometimes it works out like that. And if you need someone to root for in the college football playoffs, I would say Mendoza would be the one. His mom has MS, so it's been pretty emotional watching that. 34 in Lone Tree, 33 in Broomfield, 35 in Denver. You are waking up with Jeff and Billy, and here they go on a Monday. Blake Olson, News Talk, 710 KNUS.
Your 710 KNUS forecast this early Monday. A few passing clouds this morning. Temperatures in the mid-30s to start the day. For the rest of your Monday, plenty of sunshine. More like spring with highs around 65. Partly cloudy tonight, lows down to 35. Weather brought to you by L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. I'm day weather meteorologist Patrice Sutter in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
After a shooting spree in which 15 people were killed in one of the deadliest attacks on the Jewish community in the nation's history. I mean, it's like another October 7th. They're all at a festival, like celebrating. And these two guys, a father and son, I've heard and saw reports that they were shouting Allah Akbar as they were firing into the crowd, but showed up with long guns and then just started picking off people best they could in this attack. And you combine that with Paris now canceling its New Year's Eve celebration, fearful of migrant violence, New York Post reporting out there. And it appears that Western Europe is, and the West itself, Australia, now America, the firebombing of Jews here in Colorado, that radical Islam has its sights set on Jews in the West, and it's to the point where it's dangerous to go outside. It's dangerous to get together. I mean, this was not a protest or parade, an anti-Palestinian type of event. This was people celebrating Hanukkah on the beach, and radical Islamists showing up to shoot them. Paris can't even have a New Year's Eve celebration near the Eiffel Tower because of these problems. Christmas, little gatherings, Christmas festivals in Europe are being canceled because they can't meet the new required security requirements. Has Western Europe let in too many Muslims? We're now at 15-30% in some countries. Has it just gotten too dangerous? Are they not assimilating? Is it too many? And is Western Europe on the brink of more violence as a result of Islamists? Bill, what do you think?
Oh, I think there's, a little bit of a horse apiece. I don't, sit there and lay it necessarily at the feet of Islam. These are terrorists. These are people that have been radicalized and are using their religion to enact violence for a variety of reasons. It is not something that we see universally across all branches of Islam or most people that follow the religion. So this is, in my mind, a smaller subset of the larger religion. And I think obviously what happened in Australia is horrible, but they were Australian citizens. They weren't refugees that came in to cause the violence, which was kind of what you were talking about as far as Europe. And so if it's the idea that they've allowed in too many refugees and they can't assimilate, that would somewhat go against the idea that these two people that were responsible for in Australia were actually citizens and born there. So it wouldn't, the predication of the idea that it's refugees and they can't assimilate would be disproven based on this case necessarily. And they did, however, get radicalized online. And I think that there is a lot to that. And I think we see it across a number of different demographics, some of which will actually speak to a different demographic with a guest later on today, as far as individuals that are feeling that the country, the society where they're living isn't reflecting what they think should be their values, and that sometimes they reach out and they enact violence based on that. There's a number of attacks that we've had both here in the U.S. and through Europe that are based on the idea of people not assimilating based on the attacks actually targeted towards Muslims because of who they are rather than the other. The most famous recently was the attack on, was it the church or the schoolgirls in England, where the story got out that it was a Muslim that attacked the girls, and that wasn't true. And it ended up with riots and people of the Islamic religion being beaten in that neighborhood. And the person, again, that was the attacker, wasn't Muslim. But there were people on the far right in England, and it's applicable to say they were on the far right because those were the people that were spreading the issues and saying that it was the Muslims that weren't assimilating and it was their problem and they can't be trusted in our culture. And that is what was pretty much the predicator of the violence there. So I think that we have a problem on many levels. One, with terrorism. Two, with the idea that we're dealing with a clash of certain cultures right now. And three, we're scared. And then four, we are seeing certain things in our lives slip away. And what I mean by that is certain economic things, certain socioeconomic things. And we are going to look for something or someone to blame. And that's part of it as well. So I think it's a series of layers. But yeah, this is awful. And I appreciate that there was the one guy, before I get back to you, the one gentleman who went at the father and grabbed the gun from him, because as soon as he was sneaking up behind the gunman, we saw, and hopefully you've seen the videos online, where the guy's sitting next to a tree and he's behind a trash can, and there's a guy that comes up behind him. The thing that popped into my mind, and I hope it popped into yours too, Jeff, was I immediately thought of Kendrick Castillo. I immediately thought of what Kendrick had to go through in order to stop that attack at the STEM school shooting. And I looked at that guy making the same choice, not in the same instance, not even because what we understand is that Kendrick was in front of the shooter at the time, where this guy's coming up behind him. But I looked at that type of bravery of that individual saying, I am going to stop this. You are not allowed to attack the other people that are around me. And that, to me, was what I spent a lot of time focusing on and thinking about, is that individual there as far as what that took them to do. Because, again, of the brave young man that we've had his parents on here many, many, many times. And that's where I went the first time when I was looking at that, is there's another person that is a hero. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I do want to make sure the record's clear on this. While the son was born in Australia, the father wasn't. The father immigrated.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay.
And had come in on a student visa in 1998. Look, I think there's a lot of things that are connected here, and it's around the notion of radical Islam, and I think it's a direct threat to Western civilization, and I think it needs to be taken very, very seriously. I posted the video that I got when I marched with the Palestinians at the DNC and covered that. I was not marching in support of the Palestinians, but when I went to Chicago for the DNC, I spent 3 days with Palestinians, and there's a few things that stood out. One was I think there's a genuine bloodlust for the Jews that Muslims have that people often dismiss or say, well, it's not, they're angry over what Israel's doing. No. They're, and I have video evidence of it. There was one guy shows up with an Israeli flag out of like 5,000 Palestinians that were there. And the vitriol, the F-bombs, the middle fingers, the rage that came from the Palestinians towards him. This guy there was a wall of police, Chicago police, protecting one guy with an Israeli flag. So I think there's a genuine vitriol, rage, hatred from Muslims towards Jews. Not all Muslims, clearly, but I mean, you don't have vibrant Jewish communities in Saudi Arabia, in Qatar, in Iran. So I think that speaks to what happens when Muslims get total control of a nation. There's no place for Jews. And then secondly, I spoke to a young man who openly, very easily, as if it was talking about the Broncos, talked about Islamic global domination. And that, yes, the battle is with Israel now, but eventually it'll go through Africa, Asia, and all of Western civilization. That they want global Islamic domination. And when you ask them, what does life look like for Christians and Jews, they openly say, you will be second-class citizens in these countries once they have total domination. I'm not making this stuff up. I have video evidence. I spent 3 days talking with these people. This is the way they think about the world. This is what they seek to advance. And when I look at the reality of what it must be like to be a Jew right now, like, yeah, Islamists want total global domination, but right now the tip of the spear is the Jews. And whether you're at a small Jewish gathering in Boulder where you're lit on fire in our own state, or you're attending a Hanukkah celebration in Australia where you're shot down with guys with long guns in a country, by the way, that already has strict gun laws, to now Paris, France, not willing to have a New Year's celebration because of some of the migrant crime issues they're dealing with. This is a very serious threat to Western civilization. They openly talk about global dominance at this point and making people who don't share their values second-class citizens. So I think it's a threat that needs to be taken far more seriously. And the evaluation of who you're letting into these countries when they come from predominantly Muslim countries needs to be tougher, higher, if for anything, to protect the lives of our Jewish citizens. All right. Where am I wrong? Join the conversation. Want to hear directly from you? 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line at 720-819-5115. 720-819-5115. Let's talk Mountain High Appliance. Discover incredible savings at Mountain High Appliances Clearance Center in Denver. Their clearance center offers a huge selection of ranges, refrigerators, washers, dryers, and more. Save up to 60% on open box, scratch, and dent display models and overstocked appliances from Bosch, Thermador, KitchenAid, and many more. When you're looking for great deals on appliances, think Mountain High Appliance Clearance Center for the best prices and selection. Here's their address, 601 East 64th Avenue in Denver, 601 East 64th Avenue in Denver. You know, these battles between the West and Islam have been happening now for nearly 2,000 years. Did we get to a moment where we just kind of put our heads in the sand and said, well, we've moved on. We're enlightened. People can assimilate and embrace Western culture? Or have we just need to come to reality, terms with reality, that this is a battle that's been going on for 2,000 years, is going to continue? Or could we move past it and there actually be a way to live peacefully without blowing each other up? Give us a call. Join the conversation. We're talking Australia. We're talking Paris. We're talking radical Islam. We're talking Western civilization. 303-696-1971. Text us at 720-819-5115. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS. Hawaii wasn't a state when this song was released.
It wasn't?
No, it wasn't really. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it wasn't a state yet.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, this is written by a Hawaiian songwriter. But then Bing Crosby's the first one really recorded. It's popular. Yeah. It's kind of fun.
I mean, the only time I've ever heard the song was in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
It's because you don't listen to enough Christmas music.
Right, exactly.
This is good.
I mean, was this
Bing does good
popular
stuff.
prior to that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's done pretty good. It's just, it's one of those that inside of the Christmas genre, there are a lot of remakes of the same song over and over again. This is one unusual song. So it fits in just like Feliz Navidad. It makes its way through the catalog pretty well because it is unique. Yeah. And the Andrews Sisters. It's good. It's just kind of fun.
Who are the sisters?
Andrews Sisters. Very famous trio in the era. The Andrews Sisters, yeah. Yeah, are singing in the background.
If you missed last week, you missed us talking about this, but Bill Thorpe is a music savant. And
Christmas music,
Wikipedia has nothing on these aspects of his brain. So in the next week, we get you for one more week.
Oh, yeah. Give me for one more week and we'll talk,
a little bit of a break. But
we'll talk Christmas music.
You're going to want to listen to the Jeff and Bill show to discover little unknown treasure troves.
A whole bunch of stuff, yeah. I found out some new stuff over the weekend of things. I was reading about some songs, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. So there's some other stuff that's laying in wait. We'll see if it pops up. Yeah, that'll be kind of fun.
Well, Europe's changing. Australia's dealing with this attack from Islamists in Australia right now. 15 people were killed at a Jewish holiday celebration the first night of Hanukkah. They're all at Bondi Beach, which is this famous beach. Have you ever been to Australia, Bill?
No, never have.
Or in your world travels?
Nope.
I did. I served
nice.
a little bit of like a semi-internship type of thing with a judge I had met traveling in another part of the country. Or in the world. We were in Europe, and I met a judge who happens to be a Supreme Court justice in Australia. And we had dinner and kicked it off, and families, all the stuff, got to know each other. He said, hey, if you ever want to come to Australia, I'd be happy to take you around, and you could learn what I do, because I was a young man interested in law at the time, until I took the LSAT and learned what law really was. But at the time, I was really interested. So I went and spent, I think, 3-4 weeks in Australia.
Oh, nice.
And I got to sit through judicial proceedings and all that stuff. And he was a Supreme Court justice of the state, not of the entire country. So think like a state Supreme Court justice. But to be able to spend a bunch of weeks in his courtroom and see how things were done, it was awesome. But Australia is a beautiful country. By the way, he was Jewish, last name Einstein. But tragedy happening in Australia. And I saw the headline in the New York Post, Paris canceling its New Year's Eve concert on the Champs-Élysées as a result of migrant violence growing. Europe now 15 to 30% Islam. It's growing. 30% in some countries now make up the population of these countries. Islamic, 30%. Is it changing Western Europe? Is it changing Western civilization? Are the threats and attacks against Jews growing? Is the anti-Semitism growing in part because the population of Muslims is getting too big? I think it is. I think 15 to 30% is too high. I think if you want to allow Muslims into Western civilization, it needs to be capped at roughly around 5%. I think it gets too high. You end up with significant changes happening to these communities. Threats to Jews in particular starts to grow. And so they need to demonstrate, one, that if they're going to come here, if they're going to especially come from other countries, that they're not radicalized, that they're not going to embrace Sharia law, that they're not going to light Jews on fire on Pearl Street in Boulder. That has to be crystal clear. That is not tolerated in our countries. You're not going to go to Australia and shoot up a bunch of Jews trying to celebrate Hanukkah. That's unacceptable. But from my perspective, it seems like there's too many, particularly coming in to Western Europe, that's dramatically changing those countries to the point now they're not even willing to go outside and celebrate New Year's Eve. Bill, your thoughts?
Yeah, the thing is, I understand some of the idea, but we've heard over the course of history all sorts of basically just fill in your ethnic group here, can't assimilate. It even was said about the Jewish citizens prior to World War II that we had to control immigration of Jewish people because they weren't acceptable to the U.S. culture and they wouldn't assimilate into our country. We said that about Jewish immigrants that were trying to escape the Holocaust. So this is somewhat something that happens over the course of history. And for me, it has a heck of a lot more to do about that smaller subset of the terrorists that are using the religion as their justification. But then again, there were portions of, my Irish forefathers that used their religion as a justification to lay bombs to make political points in Northern Ireland. So this does happen. And I also thought it was interesting, the guy that is the hero inside of Australia that stopped the shooting is a Muslim immigrant from Syria. So he's a guy that was an immigrant into the country that is Muslim and came from Syria, yet he's the one that ran over to stop the other Muslim that was shooting. So that's why I hesitate to draw with a broad brush and say it is this religion or it is this ethnicity. I think that there are other things that are necessarily involved, and many times, especially the terrorism side, that people are using the religion as a motivator. And you and I have talked about radical Islam, and when they say that God blesses these actions, well, heck, you can go out and commit almost anything that you want as far as an atrocity if you feel God has blessed it. As Denver radio legend Peter Boyles often pointed out, that the German soldiers, when they entered the military, were given a belt buckle, God mit uns, God with us. That was the Nazis saying that God was with them on their belt buckles. Every single enlisted Nazi had one. So they claimed the mantle of biblical righteousness. And it's very easy, I believe, for a human to start to commit atrocities if they believe it is divinely appointed or divinely forgiven. That idea of, how many virgins you get if you go out and do a suicide bombing and kill infidels. That's the motivation. And I think that is something that we need to work on more than just identifying one subset or one group. I think that's the more danger inside of the religion, of the people that are using it that way.
What do you do with the reality that there's really no Jewish communities that exist in Muslim-dominated countries?
I don't know. I'm not certain. It's again, the Muslim-dominated countries can, if they're dominated by they can choose whatever they want. There are portions of Muslim-dominated countries that don't let women drive, can't own property, and so I understand that, but I don't think necessarily that says they can't then join our cultures or also our societies, because we have history of times in which they do. And what I'm worried about is things like where we had the guy from Afghanistan that worked with the U.S. military for a decade and was brought over here, turned around, and for whatever reason attacked National Guards men and women, one of them dying and one still seriously injured. That's a problem. But then again, we're not saying that all Afghanis are like this or all people are going to be like this. And our reaction, though, was we need to kick all of them out. And again, with the Somalis in Minnesota, I don't think that's indicative of all Somalis, but it was indicative of that group. But we've decided in some areas of the country, kick them all out. And I think that is necessarily dangerous. The idea when you paint with that broad brush, it's gotten us into bad places in the past.
Well, I'm not sure it's painting with a broad brush. I think it's coming to terms with reality that in Muslim-dominated countries where they have total control, right, where they get it, where they have the ability to write the laws and form the communities they want, Jews and Christians become second-class citizens, so much so that they oftentimes have to flee in order to save their lives. And so if you're going to, what Western Europe is doing is just bring lots of them in. Well, once it gets to 51%, you're going to see Western Europe look radically different. I don't think, one, they care at all to maintain our traditions, our legal traditions, our cultural traditions when it comes to Western civilization or America. So this idea that the Constitution and its freedom of religion is somehow going to stop once there's so many of them that they have the ability to shape the laws, I don't think it's going to happen. I think you will see the collapse of Western civilization and of Jewish and Christian communities, as they openly say, want to treat them as second-class citizens. Feel free to join the conversation, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. We got a Monday morning version of You Choose the News coming up. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
All right, Bill, you got to give us the rundown on this one. I feel like every song will be like, sir, to you.
No, it's basically this one was done by a Texas blues musician at the time. This has been covered by a ton of artists. George Ezra has done some of them. It's really melancholy. This is one of those unusual melancholy Christmas songs that people kind of struggle with because it's supposed to be a happy time of the day, but there are a lot of us that are going through, difficult times. George Ezra has one of the more famous versions of this song. But yeah, this is an old Texas R&B kind of country blues singer guy that kind of pens this. It's neat. Yeah, this is the Eagles doing this version, but
This is
there are a
the
lot of them.
Eagles?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. This is kind of a neat
Awesome.
one. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Thorpe, take us into a Monday morning version of You Choose the News.
Yes. It is that time of the morning where we get to play everybody's favorite fake radio news game show. It's You Choose the News. Yes, you know how this works. I have scoured the interwebs for moments this morning to find really dumb stories about us humans, giving them even more ridiculous headlines so that we can play this fake radio news game show. Why? Well, those in charge have no idea that we are wasting valuable time, so here we go. As always, Blake Olson joins us from the news department. Gentlemen, here are our headlines. Headline number 1, it happens in Vegas. Headline number 2, who's in charge? Headline number 3, sounds like a threat. And headline number 4, childhood fear. Mr. Hunt, your choice.
We'll start with childhood fear.
Yes, childhood fear. Here we are going back to the era in our childhood where, there were things that were going to get you. You know, like the monsters under the bed, or maybe quicksand. Getting trapped in quicksand is a peril out of old movies, TVs, and childhood nightmares, but it recently happened to one hiker in Utah Arches National Park. Yes, in Utah. Got nabbed by the quicksand. The park that's famous for its natural sandstone arches gets over 1 million visitors per year, and accidents range from falls and heat strokes. Those are super common. Quicksand? Not so much, but it happened just recently. Now, the wet sand kind of flows back in. It's a never-ending battle, says John Marshall, who helped a woman stuck in quicksand over a decade ago and coordinated the latest rescue that happened just a week or so ago. An experienced hiker was traversing a small canyon, second day of a 20-mile backpacking trip, when he sank up to his thigh. He was unable to free himself. The hiker activated the emergency satellite beacon. Team got up, they went out there, and through a drone camera, they saw the park rangers arrived a little bit early, tossed the man a shovel, but as he was shoveling it, it would just roll back into the hole. He couldn't dig himself out. So the search and rescue team, positioned a ladder and boards near the backpacker and slowly worked his leg loose. Now, he had been in near freezing muck, temperatures in their 20s for a couple of hours, so they had to slowly warm up the limb until he could stand and then walk. He hiked out on his own, even carrying his own backpack. But here's the thing that young Blake, young Jeff, and young Bill didn't know. Quicksand is not like it's depicted in TV or the movies, not like it was on Gilligan's Island. The human body is actually more buoyant than quicksand, so you'll never actually sink underneath. You'll just get stuck inside until you die. Yeah. So you don't actually sink underneath and go blub, 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 blub. You're too buoyant. You float in the quicksand.
I feel much better.
Yeah, so it feels much better about that. See, you can avoid that childhood nightmare. Alrighty.
That's
yes.
right.
Blake, your choice, sir. It happens in Vegas. Who's in charge or sounds like a threat?
Who's in charge?
Yeah, who's in charge? We got to know who's in charge. Ahead of the Africa Cup of Nations, Cameroon's squad selection is mired in controversy. At the start of the month, slowly after Samuel Eto'o won an election to remain president of their local football association, it was announced that another person was going to take hold of another governing body inside of the African nation and name a new coach, David Pagou. Well, David Pagou disagrees with Samuel Eto'o on who should be named for the team. So headed into the African Cup of Nations, there are two different lineups for the team. They've named different squads. So they don't know who's on the team. Yeah, and
that's a disaster.
Yeah, the big problem is Andre Onana and a striker, Bukabar. There's some issues. Eto'o doesn't like either of them, but the new coach does. And so Samuel Eto'o, who again is the president of the Football Association, is trying to tell the coach who's on his team. Yeah.
Bukabar's much better.
Yeah. Well,
He's
Bukabar, he's playing in Turkey right now. He's okay. Andre Onana's got some issues, but I don't know. There's some issues there.
I was right in the middle of the Cameroon supporters in the World Cup in the early 90s, by the way.
They are. They're crazy. They're fantastic.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Cameroon people are wonderful.
Cool.
Yeah, and Samuel Eto'o is a wonderful goal scorer. But yeah, so the president of the organization, this would be like the president of the Broncos disagreeing with Sean Payton on who should be in the first playoff. That's a little different. This is that's what this looks like. Yeah, this looks like. So this is the level that it looks like, or maybe like Roger Goodell telling the Broncos who they have to field. That's kind of what this argument is. It's a guy running the organization versus the guy that's the coach, and they don't agree. So this is going to be a weird one to find out. Okay, final choice this morning, Mr. Hunt. It happens in Vegas or sounds like a threat?
Sounds like a threat, sir.
Yeah, this totally sounds like a threat. Recently, a Florida middle school went on total lockdown over a clarinet. Yes, it wasn't because of a very bad song. It was because their AI-based weapon detection system thought the clarinet was a gun. The false alarm occurred recently at Lawton Childs Middle School. The automated system interpreted a student carrying a clarinet as a potential gun threat. The school entered a code red lockdown. Administrators and police responded to what turned out to be just a soloist. So, in a message to parents, they explained what happened. Now, this is a company that called Zero Eyes. They integrate with existing surveillance cameras, and they employ computer vision algorithms trained on images of more than 100 firearm types. And when the AI model believes it's detected a weapon, it sounds the alarm. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, I'd rather have that.
And for the privilege, they pay $250,000 a year.
Yeah.
They haven't been able to say whether or not the system has ever actually successfully foiled an event or found an actual gun. But we don't know.
But if you remember, the Kendrick Castillo shooter brought their guns in a guitar case, didn't they?
True.
So,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
A little false alarm here or there. Better than what happened here.
Better
I'm
be
a
safe
ranch.
than sorry.
That's back to you, Jeff. We're out of time here.
Thank you, Mr. Thorpe. Appreciate that. We'll continue because the phone line's hot. Text messages hot. We're talking Australia, Paris, Islamic attacks, all of it. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader. We are KNUS.